Hello, welcome to New Media Tech. This is the first week of our first step into this new workflow. And I want to do it on this show because this is the show where if it's going to mess up, I want everybody to see it. So this week we now have Wirecast kind of in the middle. If you're watching on the stream, you just watch me sit here and be very quiet for 30 seconds for the intro because we're still streaming from the old streaming server, and that is not receiving the post Wirecast feed, and actually it never will. The way we're going to do it, at least for now, is going to start streaming out of Wirecast. But I didn't want to add too many factors in the first week. Next week, we're going to add in the streaming out of Wirecast. So right now we are recording the way we used to do it as well. So we still can always go back to the way we've been doing it, but we're also recording this video now in Wirecast, and we will be doing live lower thirds throughout the show. So that basically I don't have to go in later on and post edit it. So this week, if you're watching on the stream, you're not going to see all the lower thirds and the intros and all that stuff. But if you're watching in post-production, hopefully the video recorded fine in Wirecast, and we used it instead of going through and adding in lower thirds later on. So I have the ability to basically throw up any lower third at any time while I'm doing the show, and I can do all this and don't have to do it later on. So it saves us a lot of edit time, and if this all works out the way we hope it works out, it should be just a few minutes after we're done recording to submit it to our already automated process to get to YouTube and everywhere else. So that's hopefully what happens from all this. That is the goal of doing this. So I'm basically sitting here, and as I'm doing the show, I'm bringing up all the lower thirds and everything live as I'm talking to you. So it's a little bit different thinking process for me as well. It's different when you're on the other behind the console and you know what you're doing, you don't got to talk. But when you're doing the show like this, it's a little bit distracting, but you could just do it very fast. I've been doing the switching anyways, for the most part, with the exception of like the security coded show and things like that. The more talk style shows, I typically have somebody that does the switching for me. It just helps me to keep my mind more into the conversation and makes it a more interesting show. All right, so I have been getting a lot of questions about monetizing, and it's a little, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it's well, maybe frustrating is a good word. If you're just starting out the podcast and you're thinking in your mind, I want to start a podcast so I can bring in some money, you're thinking the wrong way, because when you start on a podcast, you're not going to make money right away. In fact, it's going to be a while till you start making money, unless you have some other way of monetizing other than advertising. The questions I'm getting is about finding advertisers, and I'm sure as podcasts become more and more popular, and you're seeing all these people like GoDaddy and Ting and Squarespace, all these people advertising, and thinking like, how can I get them onto my show and start making some money? Well, until your show is established, which can take 6 months to a year, you're probably not going to get an advertiser. So if you're looking to get in to make money from the advertising, it's probably the wrong thing, or it's definitely the wrong way to think about it. When you start a podcast, you need to start it because you have a passion for it, not because you're looking at how you can make money. So that being said, I'm going to talk about some different methods of monetizing this week, and probably over the next couple of weeks. I probably can't cover it all in one night, and how things you can do to help monetize and make some money. And I'm going to tell you some things that we're doing differently. And since we do go in and install studios for companies that want to produce content for the internet, they don't really thinking about how they're going to make money with it. They're thinking of it as a way of promoting their business. And that's kind of how I want everybody to think about it, because that's the best way to think about it. How can it promote something else? Not necessarily make money in the advertising. Yes, great. There are some shows, and some of the big podcasters make millions of dollars on advertising, but they've been doing it for 5 to 8 years probably, have a great following, and have that reputation that they can provide the viewers and the turnover from the advertising that a small podcast can't. And you're talking about some of those shows, you get 200,000 and 300,000 views per episode. And if you're a podcast that's making, only getting a couple thousand views per episode, it's very hard to get somebody to back you, financially to advertise on your show. Now, if you're a very specialty podcast, you're going after a very particular group, and you have somebody that's in that group, you can very possibly find an advertiser that hits the group that you're starting to get to. I don't know, maybe you do comics or something like that. Some other subject that's, kind of limited, not general tech. Tech is a huge thing. If you're trying to get into tech, there's so much tech stuff out there. It's very hard to get any kind of advertising because they can advertise on these big guys. But there are some other ways you can make money. And I'm going to explain a little bit how we do it. Now, we make money on the side because we install studios and teach people how to do this regularly. And if we go into a company who wants to start doing a podcast, they typically are doing it to promote themselves in their brand. And that's the most popular thing that we find as far as people wanting to do podcasts, at least from our point of view, going into companies. That's what we see the most of. And it's because they're already established. They got a brand name and they don't want anybody else to advertise with it. They want to be able to promote, to basically get their word out through social media or new media. The whole idea of the show is new media, and to advertise their products, get guests in or their own people in that shows how they are an expert in their field as well. So that's the most common thing that we get involved in when we go install a studio, is training them from that point of view. Now, us being a studio, of course, we get all kinds of studio work, installation and video and audio recording. We do a little bit of everything. We don't do weddings anymore because they're just a pain. But we get all kinds of requests in. I mean, we just recorded a documentary in the audio studio for a couple people. If they come in here twice and did different documentary things, we record videos on our green screen for people. So we keep pretty busy as a studio. As well as doing all this. Now, this is just part of what we do for fun. This is like our passion is broadcasting and teaching people stuff. Teaching definitely coming in with that. But one of the things we're doing with one of our other shows, I'll Let to Make It show, is basically teaching people how to do electronics. But we're going to start selling parts and shields. So we're going to basically build a shield around our weekly show, and we're going to start selling those shields on the show. Just like you've probably heard of Adafruit. That's another great site. There's a bunch of sites. Seed Studio is another one. Spark Fund's another one. They all do some very similar things. Now we're kind of targeting ours to what we're doing on the show. So if somebody wants to do what we do on the show but doesn't want to do the breadboard or buy the individual parts, because sometimes the parts are not as common as you might think. You just can't go to Radio Shack and pick them up. You generally have to go order them in bulk from somewhere to get a decent price where you're paying through the nose. We're going to basically buy those parts in bulk and pass that savings on to our end users. They can buy the kit from us with just the parts. They can stick on a breadboard, or we can sell them an actual board. They can put the parts on and plug it in and follow along with our shows to be able to do the projects. And we have some other things going forward. We'd like to do a little bit more with that. The things are even beyond the show. But that's one of the ways we're looking at trying to monetize our show. Will we take an advertiser? Sure. We tried one advertiser for a little while. It wasn't bad. We didn't make a lot of money with it. It was a good experience for us to have an advertiser on the show. But that's not what we're focused on. And yes, we do have on our website now that you can advertise with us. And if somebody wants to advertise, we're not going to turn them away. But our main goal is to teach people, and we want to monetize our show by giving them things they can learn with, and that's by selling them the parts and the kits and things like that. It would be hard to go to Radio Shack and pick up stuff. And plus, they're getting exactly what they need from us. They don't go to Radio Shack and get the wrong thing because they're not sure what they're getting. They get the right parts from us. Plus, we're also here to support them after the fact if they have some kind of issue with it. It's just one of the benefits you have with dealing with us. So that's one of our ways of monetizing. Now, the other thing that we do, as far as what I consider monetization, is we do jobs for like installing studios, teaching people how to do that. And we recommend equipment. We actually sell the equipment. We are a reseller for some of the equipment. And we do consulting on the side. We go out and we do the installation, or we go into somewhere that's already installed and just need training on how to use the equipment. We have all kinds of that. And we're getting more into actually doing the live streaming. And that's something that's, we do live streaming here every week. And the more we do it, the more comfortable you are with it. And we have basically a portable system we can take with us now and do live streaming from just about anywhere. And we're going to start doing more of that and start promoting that. So we also use, and that's part of what this show is. This show is talking about what we do in our day-to-day jobs from the studio perspective. So in a way, we're kind of monetizing this one because we're advertising what we do. And we've gotten calls from the show already and gone and done jobs from the show to go teach people. We've done one studio install, and we actually done some side consulting, training people and trying to get their whole show set up, because they have an idea for a show, and that's what we did. And in another week or so, I'm probably going to tell you about something else we're going to be doing. It's kind of out there now. If you start watching some of our shows at the end, in the trailer, you will see some more information that's coming about something that's coming up. That will be another way of monetizing. And that one probably will be more advertised based, ultimately, because the people we're working with probably want to make money by advertising, or they may want to do something very similar to what we're doing now. So my personal background has been, I've done a lot of internet marketing. Now I haven't done it for like a year and a half now, because the bottom kind of fell out of the internet marketing. It got very sleazy, not somewhere where I wanted to be. So I pretty much pulled out of that. But that same concept, and I'm going to start doing some of that as well, some video type training that you can buy for a couple of bucks and sticking it on the website. And I'm probably going to do a very similar thing, but I'm going to stay out of the sleazy part of it. You know, I'm not going to spam anybody or anything like that. It's just all above board, all very white hat type of thing. But that's kind of my background, and I still like doing that, and just wish it never gotten quite so sleazy and so underhanded type of a business. So I'm going to take some of that knowledge and put it into running this as well. So over the next couple weeks, I'm going to talk about some different monetization methods, because you can do like on-page advertising. You can sell ads on your page. But depending on how much traffic your page is getting depends on if you can really sell that or not. And that's very, very dependent upon your traffic you get to your show. Like, we get a lot of traffic to our Text and TV show. That's where most of our YouTube views come from, is actually through the website, because we embed on our website the YouTube. And I think because we do that, we get a lot of traffic from the search engines, and people are searching for things because we're embedded, in through YouTube. So we're getting actually, I think more views on YouTube right now than what we're getting for downloads. For a while, it was not quite that way, but I think depending what show it is, I think like the Let's Make It show, which is our most popular show, is somewhere between 16 and 20,000 views a week per episode. So, and that's definitely our most popular show. Our Security 101 is, a little bit behind that. And then it goes down the line. I can't remember what other shows. It's either Mac Minute or this show or next in line. And then with the new shows coming online, we're still trying to get the audience built up for those. Now, one of the advantages that I had starting out with this is I already had a following from the internet marketing crowd, because I did a lot of training on internet marketing. And as I start tweeting things out, that started building up my followers. So I got a little bit of a jump start. Now that jump start's gone now. So as we start up new things, it doesn't start up quite as quickly as what it did for the first couple of months that we started out. But that's something I'd rather have it start out with people that are really interested in what we're talking about anyways. And that's also part of the reason why we've combined our channels. And we've recently done this, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, because I'm going to need to remind everybody before we go that we're moving our YouTube channels all into one big channel. We had them separated, thinking that it was a good idea because it separated the subject matter. However, what that did is it didn't allow us to promote across our network the different shows. So we are now going to one YouTube. There's a couple other things that it did for us that actually hurt us in our production process, which is we have different YouTube accounts we have to keep track of. So every time we did a new video for a particular show, we had to go out and publish it to a different YouTube account. You had to log off on an account, go log in, and look what the password was. And that process was a little bit of a pain. Now we automated that, so that pain kind of went away. But then we're still trying to keep track of, did it make it there? Did it not make it there? Plus, our workflow process is that when we upload it, our outsourcer goes and has to log in, do the video, and do the comments for us. And it's just a pain for her to be able to do that as well. So what we've done is gone to a single channel, so that if you're watching a video, like when you're watching this video, and you're on our YouTube channel, you'll see the other videos that we do. Now, if you want just this video, we're doing everything in a playlist, so it's very easy to follow down the playlist of just the shows that you're interested in. You're not forced to watch them, but at least you're aware of them, which something before, which wasn't happening. There was no awareness of the other shows that were on the network, and that's what we went to one. We did the same thing with Twitter. Now, we're still in that process with Twitter. We had a Twitter account for every show. And again, if you weren't watching the network Twitter, you wouldn't see all the different shows that were on there. So now we're going just to the network Twitter, and that's something that's in the process right now. And you'll see our website's changing. Our website guy is working on all that stuff as well, as we're going through this transition to basically one Facebook page, one page for Twitter, or one Twitter account, and one YouTube account. And the old accounts aren't going to go away. The Twitter accounts might go away. We're just going to stop using them. But the YouTube accounts we're going to keep here because we're still getting lots of hits on them, and we don't want to lose that momentum that we have there. Now, the last 6 weeks, I've been telling everybody this in the beginning and the end of every show that we are changing our YouTube channel. And I do that for the 6 weeks. We said we're going to run on both network or both accounts for 6 weeks, and then we're going to stop on the old and only go to the new. So we're coming up on the 6 week period here pretty quickly. I'm not sure what week this show is in for the 6 week period, but I know the Mac Minutes are almost at the end of theirs, and Let's Make It's almost at the end of theirs. So it depends on what our recording schedule was. And some of our shows that we record in bulk were already up there, so we can't do them until they come up anyways. So that was kind of our cross-promotional thing, and it's actually helped quite a bit. We've had people that didn't know we had these other shows that are making comments that I didn't know you had this other show, and that's good. That's great to hear because that means what we're doing is actually working. The advantage to us is it's actually, our workflow is much easier. I have one automated upload to YouTube now that basically everything goes into that one queue. As soon as I leave here and I do the editing, which hopefully after our change this week, there is no more editing, I pretty much submit it for render. It renders it in about 5 different formats, but it does it all on its own in the background. And as it does that, I'll upload it to the FTP site for download to the iPads or iPhones or the audio only version. It's all, it's all up there, and it all gets done automatically. So it renders all this stuff, puts it out there, uploads it to the site, and then on the site where we store all that stuff, there's a script uploaded to YouTube. Upload it to YouTube, and then when it gets uploaded to YouTube, it sends an email to me in the house, which we're saying there's a new video on YouTube, and when she gets time, she goes out and she does the rest of the work for us. So it's it makes our process much simpler, and that's our whole goal. Is we want to do more shows, but the problem is with doing more shows, it takes up more time to do the editing. So it takes sometimes up to an hour after a show to do the editing and copy the files around and all that stuff to get to the render. Then the render takes how long it takes to do that. But that doesn't want to take my time necessarily. I can go to bed or do whatever else I want while the render is going on. But this process now, when I'm done here, I should be able to hit stop, take it over. I'm going to trim the beginning. I'm going to throw it in the editor and say, here's where it started, here's where it ended, and pretty much hit render and walk away. So it hopefully is an hour per show less for me. And that will give me more time to do more shows, which I really like to do more shows. I like to do more of the talk shows. So right now, this is more of a teaching show. I like to have I'm looking for a guest or a co-host for the show that kind of does this stuff as well and be interested in talking about it. Because I kind of like the talk format where I can interact with somebody. That's worked very good with Let's Make It. We have Bob on Let's Make It, and he's awesome. It's great to have somebody to bounce things off of and stuff like that. But there's some more shows I want to do that are more talk oriented. We're going to start back up our Security Coded show, which is a roundtable type discussion. Hopefully this week. I think we're starting it on Wednesday. And that's the kind of stuff I like to do more of, which is more live interactive versus less of the training. I like to do some training, but we've covered a lot of the training stuff right now. And there's some things, I think there's some holes or different ways of doing some things in the current, even in the technology area right now, that I can probably bring in and do some better things with, I think, or do it differently. I don't say better, but differently, a different approach to it. And that's something I'm looking to do here very soon as well. So a couple other shows. We started recording the program. I think I mentioned before, the program is all about programming. We're going to do 12 weeks of one language. We've already pre-recorded the first couple weeks, which is the basics of programming, what a variable is, memory space, things like that, very basic stuff. And then we're getting ready to start recording the Python, which I think I'm probably start recording maybe this weekend. I'm not positive, but then I have other people that are going to do other languages for me as well, and I'm working on that out with them right now. I'm not sure what order they'll be ready in, but we're working through all that stuff right now. So and there's no charge for any of those shows. We like to teach, so we're never going to charge something like that. However, monetization of the show, we're not sure about that yet. So do we? Some people that I'm looking for that to do some of the language stuff have actually written books. So do we monetize the show through selling their books? That's the kind of thing we're trying to figure out at this point with that show. So everything's a little bit different. So but I wanted to say, it's monetization. You just don't want to go in and assume you're going to start making money right away unless you have a product you're going to sell, which this is an advertising medium for you, that's 1 week to making money right away. However, you shouldn't be counting on just your podcast to make those sales, because it's not going to happen that fast. It does take a long time to build up an audience, and it's taking a long time, for longer than what I expected to build up an audience, and I expected it to take a while. So, but our audience is growing, but the thing is, our audience isn't growing interactively, which I know it's part of because of the type of show we do. We do a very much a training-oriented show, but I love that people in here with me, in the chat room talking with me. We do have some people during the Let's Make It show that will come in. Most people will just hang out and listen and stuff, but that is our busiest show as far as live viewership. We get the people in the chat room, but they don't really say a lot, and I wish they would speak up. Now, when we ask for input in that show, we get great input. We get tons of emails. It's just not live, and I wish it was live. So, but we're going to more of the talk format. If we start doing more of the talk type formats, then maybe we'll get more viewers live with that and interact. We're also getting ready to take in live phone calls as well, and working on a system for that. Probably Skype in, multi-line Skype in. And when I get that done, and if we get that working, I'll bring that up in here. Just how I did that, because there's a couple different options for doing it. I can get a hybrid system and a phone system and do it that way. But there's a lot of money involved in that, or I can go the inexpensive route and use multiple Skype computers or multiple Skypes on one machine. There's a couple different ways that we could do that. So we're working all that stuff out now. And then how do you do call handling, all that. So we're working through that process now to try to figure that out, because the one show we're going to start doing will be a live call-in type of show. That's the whole idea behind it, is it's, a live call-in. So that's coming up here very soon as well. So I've covered lots of different kinds of monetization, and you really have to think about what your end goal is with your show, because that end goal kind of drives you into the way you monetize your show. Because if you do it all based on advertising, if it's an ad-based system and you have the advertisers, now if you have them, that's great. It's a great way to get started, but you don't want to overdo it either, because your audience won't. Most people watch podcasts, they don't think about the advertising very much. Now they're getting more and more used to it, because you go to YouTube and you watch a video, and YouTube shows you an ad in the very beginning. So I've had some podcasters want to make money by blasting out ads on YouTube, and yes, you can make money doing that if you get enough viewers to do it. However, I found that whenever I had advertising on a channel, I didn't get as many viewers as I do when I don't have advertising on the channel. So if you're watching our videos, you'll notice we don't advertise on there. And that's the main reason. Our main goal is not to make the money as much as it's our passion. Now, we want to make money, obviously, because we've got to support everything. There's lots of equipment, lots of bandwidth costs. And you'll see one thing we added to our website recently was a donate button. And that was very skeptical about doing that. A couple people have told me that it works well and nobody really gets upset about it. And if you go to hit the button, it won't take you right to donate either. It goes to a page explaining like what we do with the donations, stuff like that. Because I don't want people to think that the money's just going to me. It's actually not. It's going to paying for our bandwidth bills and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that it explains it in that page even before you get to the donate button about the donation. So I'm not just not saying give me money. I'm explaining why. If you want to donate, what it's going to go to and stuff like that. So I also want to make sure that we're not, nobody's thinking we're just taking their money from them. I'm very cautious about the opinion of people and where the money goes. If it's an advertiser, I'm a little less cautious, and they want to advertise, and we want to do the best thing for them. So by not putting ads on YouTube, what we found is we get more views. And at that point, if we have an advertiser wants to come to us, we can say, look, this show, like Let's Make It, is getting between 16 and 20,000 views a week. What do you want to do for that? And where if I was putting ads on things and the viewership was down even 5,000 views a week, then I can't sell that 5,000 views. Now, I'm not really actively selling the views anyways at this point. Again, that's not our goal. In that show, I think we can recover all of our costs just by helping people out by giving them the parts they need, instead of going somewhere and buying 100 of one kind of resistor that you only need 1 of or 2 of or 10 of. You can buy the exact amount of everything you need from us at a reduced price because we're buying them in bulk. So that's all stuff that's coming up here. The store is actually installed, and we have all the boards and parts and everything on the way. Actually, I think we have all the parts. We don't have all the boards yet. But so that's going to start going live here real soon as a monetization, another monetization method. And the other thing we've got now, Let's Make It shows we've gotten some contracts to do some designs. So that was unexpected, but definitely welcome because it's very fun for us. It's a very fun, I don't call it a hobby anymore. I mean, 'cause that's what we used to do all the time, was design embedded systems. So to us, it's kind of like, I don't want to call it a job either, because a job is, you know, it's the, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's, you know, the boring thing. It's not about boring for us. It's very fun. Just like doing these podcasts, it's very fun. Very fun for us, and we really like doing that kind of stuff. All right, so kind of going over a little bit what is happening in the studio this week. I actually didn't get as far as I wanted because on Saturday when I was feeding some bees, I pulled her back, so I'm not really down on the floor very much to finish off things. So, but I got it basically working for this week with a few things that nobody should notice really that aren't working, hopefully. So like I said, we've inserted Wirecast in between after our ATEM. Now we're still recording on the Ultra Studio right from the ATEM, so it's our backup. We're going to continue to do that, but we are recording in Wirecast. And if all goes well, when I'm done here, I should be able to leave this and go over and copy a much smaller Wirecast file than what we've been doing. Our typical show, a half-hour show, is about 90 gigabytes or so, and that's a lot to copy off of a drive to get over to get edited, and the stuff in Wirecast is much smaller. Hopefully the quality remains just as good. That's something you have to be seen. It's hard to tell by watching the screen. Based on the screen, I'd say it's a little softer, but it still doesn't look horrible. So if you watched the last show a couple weeks, you've also noticed probably somewhere on the screen you see some little blue dots, and we know what that is now. It's actually a lens flare from some new lights we put in. So we're now in the process of figuring out how we can make adjustments for those lens flares. In fact, if I'm looking at the camera lens like I am right now, I can even see probably about where those lens flares are because it's reflecting on the camera lens itself. So that's something that we are working on and are aware of. We first saw it, we were a little confused to what it was, and through some experimentation, we did figure out it's the lens flare from the lights that do some people call them shoulder lights, hair lights, whatever you want to call the ones that go over your head. But those are the kind of lights we put in, and those are the ones that are causing the problem. We are aware of that. I've gotten some emails asking about that, and yes, we are aware. But I definitely appreciate all the feedback that I get. I mean, feedback is awesome for us. That's how we know if we're doing things right, doing things wrong, what you want to know, what you want us to cover, all that stuff. We'd love to have the feedback. We record this show live every Monday at 8 p.m. Monday, and we're on Eastern time, so I guess that would be 5 p.m. on the Pacific side in California, and I don't know what that would be right now in the UK. I guess it'd probably be like midnight, probably, if I am doing the math right, midnight or 1. So anyways, if you want to come and join us live, I'd love to have you in the chat room. Right now, it's just me and one other person in the chat room, and it's somebody I know who's being very quiet. So it's not much interactive stuff going on there, but I would love to have you in the chat room. Come ask questions. And if you think something like this kind of show would be good with the live call-in, which I'm not quite sure it would fit with live call-in format, but we definitely would be willing to do that here very soon as well. But our live call-in meeting is for a new show that's coming up. All right, I want to remind you one more time that we are moving our YouTube channel to one channel, and it is youtube.com/TechZenTV. Right there it is on the lower third. That's nice, bringing up the lower third when I want it. And that's the new YouTube channel. Our old one's not going to go away. We're going to keep it up. But we are down to like this week and next week, I think, are the last 2 videos that are going to be put onto the old channel, and they're already being put on the new channel. So go to the address that's in the lower third right there. Hit the subscribe button, and you can come and see our shows every week on YouTube. Now, if you are getting our shows automatically, we'd love to have you subscribe through like iTunes or some other kind of podcast, so you get them downloaded automatically. You don't have to go to YouTube to watch them. You can just watch them on your iPhone, listen to them on your iPhone. We have them in audio and video formats, many different formats you can download right out of iTunes, and it's all delivered all automatically. It's a free gift to you, free downloads whenever you want, and you can watch them wherever you want. In fact, I download podcasts all the time, and no matter where I'm at, I'm working on something, I just set up the iPad and I start playing podcasts. That's pretty much what I do all day long. I don't listen to music hardly ever anymore, except for when I'm driving. It's almost always some kind of podcast. because I got lots of friends who do podcasts and lots of interest in different things. So it's a great way to get the content automatically. But if you are getting us on something like iTunes, I would appreciate if you'd go out and give us a rating, because the ratings help us more than what people realize. Until you get ratings, you can't ever show up in the front page of iTunes. Those ratings help a lot, and that's definitely very helpful. And if you are on YouTube, please subscribe. We need to get over 1,000 subscribers, and it's taking us a little longer to get subscribers on the new channel than the old channel. I'm not quite sure why. The old channels went over 1,000 subscribers really quickly, actually, in a couple months, and this time it's taking a little bit longer. So we definitely want to get over 1,000 because we want to start maybe doing some YouTube live type of stuff, and that way we can do some live broadcasts with it as well through that one channel. That's just another reason we went to one channel as well, because everybody knows where to go to get to the YouTube live channel. All right, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover for this week, and I'm going to continue down monetization as we go through this process as well. And I would love your input and feedback on how you monetize a show, and some recommendations. If you have a better recommendation, I'm all ears. I love to spread the knowledge around. So I'm always open to suggestions and ideas on how to monetize, etc. All right, that is it for New Media Tech for this week. We'll see you next week.